Starting to teach is very hard, and in this video I've gathered advice from 12 fantastic educators on what they would like to say to teachers right at the start of their career. This advice will hopefully make things a little easier for you as you start this journey, and actually this video has valuable advice for all of us, experienced or not. These hints and tips will likely be useful whatever subject you teach, but all of these teachers are psychology teachers. I interviewed them at the ATP's annual conference, and I've been going regularly right from the start of my teaching career, almost a decade now. I can honestly say, as well as being an enjoyable experience, the ATP conference has given me a community to belong to and advice I really needed to survive my first years. So, I hope you find this video useful and are inspired to attend the ATP conference at least once. Who knows, you might even come to one of my sessions.
I'm Michelle Sutwell. I'm head of department at John Port Spencer Academy, and I also lead on skit teacher training and ATP committee member.
I am B Townsend, and I am an ATP committee member and also a A-level psychology teacher at Ilkley Grammar School.
I am Sam Shaw. I'm an ATP veteran. This is my 12th conference, maybe even 13th. I'm a psychology teacher at Shipley College in Independence and an assistant head there. And I'm being asked to do this video to support my friend Nick, despite the fact that I've clearly lost my voice and have been up much too late for the last 3 nights.
Yes, sir. So my name's Ricardo. I'm a psychology teacher in the Midlands, and I run a YouTube channel called Psych Space as well. So I'm very thankful to Nick. I don't know how he does it because his channel is incredible. But yeah, I try to somewhat do something useful as well on YouTube. Yeah.
So my name is Asha and I teach psychology in Wales.
Hello, I'm Helen Gibb. I'm at the conference this year, really having a good time.
Hi, I'm Lucia Berridge. I'm a member of the ATP committee and I'm Director of Faculty for Social Sciences at the King John School in Essex.
I'm Ad, and I'm a psychology A-level teacher, and I also have a YouTube channel called Successful Psychology, and I have a TikTok called successful.psych90 for revision videos. And I'm also a published author with Oxford University Press. So that's my first book, Oxford Revise. This is the second book, which is the 6th edition of The Complete Companion. And then the 6th edition of the dog book, the second year book, will be out in November.
My name is David Foster. I work at Pro Ruskin Academy in Grantham. I've been teaching for 27 years now, so I've picked up a few little things on the way.
I'm Matt Jarvis. I'm these days a member of the digital innovation team at Bournemouth University, specialising in AI. But I taught psychology for the best part of 30 years. So it's a big influence still on everything I do. And whenever I do anything with AI, I kind of think, now, what would the psychology teachers do with that?
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm a psychology teacher in Norwich with fabulous students.
I'm Claire Barker, a recent retired teacher of psychology of 20 years and happy in my retirement.
Hi, my name's Lynn Hart. I've been teaching for 27 years now and I love teaching A-level psychology and I'm just about to move to a new school.
Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give a new teacher?
I would say plan, prep, keep organised. So you need to keep focused and set boundaries. I have 2 bits of advice. Set boundaries, never work past a certain time, no matter how many lists of jobs and things you have to do.
I think stick with it. The first couple of years are more difficult because you are doing things you've not done before. You are stepping up in terms of the hours that you're teaching. And I think that worries people and that puts them off continuing or going for progression. And I think actually just sticking with it for a few years, it calms down. You get more confident as well. Things don't stress you out as much. You don't have to prepare as much. So sticking with it, I think, really important.
Like, you can say no to things, but you should think about what things will make you progress if that's what you want to do. So, oh, that seems a lot of work, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, maybe, but it also might be the thing that makes you stand out to be promoted. So I think it's a real balance, because I was very much just say no, just say no. But I have come to realize if everyone is always just saying no, that's why those people you don't like get promoted above you, because they have said yes to certain things. So just think about what it is you want to do.
I would say make sure you have clear boundaries on time. I would say that's a big one. So make sure that, when it comes to working late, I have a strict cut-off time of 5 o'clock. So I say to myself, look, treat it like a 9 till 5 job. Until 5, do your work, whatever. If you get out before 5, it's a bonus. But that way it means that it's nice and healthy. After 5, you switch off, and yeah, you can relax a little bit. So yeah,
Brilliant.
one more thing. Can I do one more?
Yeah,
Too. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good too.
I was just going to say, don't try and be perfect as well. I feel like a lot of teachers come into it very early on, wanting to be the perfect teacher, not realizing that everyone's human, and there are teachers who teach for 20, 30 years who slip up in a lesson, and that's normal.
As a quite new teacher myself, I'm giving this advice on what I would say to myself 2 years ago, and that is meet as many people as you can, come to conferences like the ATP, and network, get resources, share ideas with other people.
I think really the best advice to new teachers, if you don't love it, then maybe have a plan B. Really enjoy the time that you're teaching, enjoy the lessons, sometimes breathe and just enjoy the pleasure of helping other people to move on.
Make links, make networks with people, talk to other subject specialists. It doesn't have to be someone in your school, particularly for psychology. You may just be the only teacher of psychology in that school. You may even be coming in as a non-specialist, having to teach that. So it's about coming to things like the ATP conference and meeting like-minded people to blind moderate with each other was just been phenomenal. From coming to the ATP, I've started blind moderating with other colleagues, and that has also been just amazing CPD for me to be able to know that my marking is accurate too.
Do not compare yourself to anybody else, because comparison is the root to misery. And what you're doing, if you feel like a lesson's gone well, and then you say to someone and then they go, yeah, but I did this, blah, blah, blah. Either they might be quite jealous or they're passionate about their teaching or whatever, but just don't compare yourself. You are who you are. You've gone into teaching for whatever reason that you decided to, and what you're doing is good enough, and you will build on it year after year, but just no comparisons.
Well, we've just had a trainee teacher at a school, and the advice I gave her when she left is that in teaching, generally, you'll have the worst days of your life and you'll have the best days of your life. And the secret is to have more good days, the best days of your life, than the worst days of your life. But best days and worst days of your life is probably too strong. But best job in the world and worst job in the world, I think that's more like it.
Everyone knows that teaching is or can be an incredibly stressful profession. I would say 2 things. The first is, do not lose touch with the people and the things you enjoyed before you became a teacher. Although probably when you start teaching, it's fun to go out with teachers and talk about teaching. But if that seeps into every aspect of your life, it's too all-consuming, and it's really easy to burn out. So keep an interest and keep a set of friends that are nothing to do with teaching.
To not believe that the old teachers have all the answers. Some teachers will tell you their method has always worked. Don't necessarily believe them. Trust your own judgment.
Firstly, be kind to yourself and do not treat overwork as a badge of honour.
I think that don't overplan. I used to think my best lessons were ones where I planned for absolute ages, but actually some of them are where you just go for it and trust in the process.
What is one thing you used to believe about teaching that you've since changed your mind about?
I used to, when I first started teaching, I didn't really think exams were that important and that assessments were that important. It was more about just enjoying the teaching. Whereas now I've realised that's very important and it's our bread and butter. And we need to obviously make sure that we're helping them to understand how to decipher the questions, and then they can also do really well in the test.
I think I always used to believe that you had to put an act on in the classroom. And I think there is a certain extent to which you do. So you can't let anything from your home life obviously go into the classroom. But I thought I couldn't be myself and that the students needed to see like a very different version of me. Whereas actually what helps me build relationships with the students the best is when I'm myself and show my personality. So I think that's a really big thing that I had to learn to change.
So I never really bought into too many myths about teaching. But one, I suppose, is that everything should be fun and interactive. Standing in front of kids, telling them about something, asking them questions about something, making them do questions about something is perfectly fine. It's actually very effective.
The idea that all lessons are perfectly structured before going in, the idea that all teachers are absolutely set and they know what they're going to say before they walk into that classroom, actually, it's one of the teaching standards, adaptive teaching, and that's a big part of it. So, yeah, the idea that all lessons are like perfectly structured, I think is something that I thought was the case. But the more experience I become a teacher, the more I found that actually you really need to be able to think on your feet a little bit. And sometimes walk into a lesson going, oh, that last lesson didn't go that well. Let me go off track a little bit and make sure that does stick before I move on. So, yeah.
That there's a right way to do it. No one, people can share ideas, but no one is a complete expert, and you have to find your own style.
Probably, if I'm honest, I used to believe that, not that I was the font of all knowledge, but my job was there to pass on everything that I knew and everything that I loved about psychology. And now I realize it needs to be much more about people learning for themselves through the exercises and activities that you get them to do.
Being judged as a good teacher is great. You can't be outstanding all of the time because it is just, you haven't got the energy to be able to do that. So actually, if you get a good, that's great, because you know that if they come in, then you know you can make that outstanding. So being good is enough.
That because I've told them something that they will know it. So I can, and because I've told them like literally 1,000 times that they will know it. You can only really know if they know it if you ask them to tell you. For example, recently, I've taught synaptic transmission to death. I thought every single person in the whole class had nailed it. And the day before the exam, one of my students said, I don't get that synaptic transmission. And instead of rolling my eyes and going, like that, I was like, oh, okay, should we do it now then? Like it's being patient. And just because you've told them doesn't mean that it's gone in.
I used to think you could model yourself on other teachers. And one thing I've generally learned is that you can't do that. You've got to be your own person, go with your own personality. I've had teachers that I've seen that have been very strict, and I've tried to be really strict, and I'm not that kind of person. I try to win people over and anticipate problems in advance. Go with where your personality takes you.
I suppose I've got more cynical. I used to believe that the system, whatever, the wider system cared. And I no longer believe that. I think it's down to you as an individual now if you want to introduce that element of care. The people who tell you to care, order you to care, are probably not very caring themselves.
That preparation is everything, which is exactly what you said, but actually it really hit home. You can prepare as much as you like, but you need to be in the moment with teaching and on the hoof.
Yeah, sometimes just trust in yourself and your own gut instincts and your ability to come through when under pressure.
Completely, absolutely, completely.
Excellent.
I used to believe that all students would respect you and they would listen to you and they would be actively engaged in your lessons at all times. It isn't true.
I used to think that my teaching was the only thing that was important in my students' life. So it was all about A-level psychology, but obviously they're studying other subjects, they've got a family life, they've got personalities, they've got challenges they're facing. So it's a much huger picture. And as the years have gone on, I've come to understand that very much.
What's a small habit or technique you found that makes a big difference in your classroom?
Small habit or technique. Oh, whiteboards. Whiteboards. Oh my God. Like that's my thing. So we just do it for the whole lesson, not just the starter or just quizzes, the whole time. And then I can get them to put it up. I can see really easily if they've understood it. And I don't have to, when I'm walking around, I couldn't see it very well before when they're doing it on line paper. But now I can see and I go, wrong. And we can fix things. So it's really moving learning on.
I think framing things in a positive way. So it was actually some advice I got in my training year that's really stuck with me, that rather than saying, don't do this, say, like frame it as the behavior that you want to see. So rather than it's like people haven't got their books out yet or people haven't got their pens out, it's like, oh, well done, those of you that have got your stuff out. So praising the positives, because that frames people towards doing the right behavior. Whereas if you say the negative behavior, they're going to do more of the negative behavior.
So we're transitioning to becoming a thinking school, and there was some really interesting stuff about focused and diffuse time. So focused is where your attention's really focused. You tend to see quite limited brain activity in one sort of region. And then in diffuse time, where you just let your mind wander, you see kind of much broader brain activity. And this might allow you to make broader connections with what you're learning in other areas of the brain, or it might just allow you a break. So we have 45-minute lessons at school, and I teach for 20, and I give them like a 3-4 minute break in the middle, and I teach for another 20. And they're so much more inclined to stay focused, and they feel they get something. They feel like you are rewarding them for things. It's been really effective. Call them brain breaks.
A little bit of a weird one. I have something called a house point system. So I split all of my students into different houses, and then I give them points based on good answers or whatever. And I've actually found this so I haven't told them what the prize is at the end of the year, but they're still so passionate about winning points for their houses. So yeah, that's one thing that I do. So some sort of competition is, I think, always great. And people always say that it's boys that are really good at competition, but literally all of my GCSE students are crazy about competition. So anything involving a competition has been something that I found really helpful.
Interleaving really, repetition, going over the old things all the time, bringing them up as starters all the time, bringing them up and to link the topics as well. So making sure that you're doing short answer questions quickly, but then maybe linking that through as you go to the second year. So they can see everything that they learn in the first year is really relevant.
So yes, mini whiteboards, but mine are the 1-minute essay plans or the flash planning. So every starter activity in year 13 is a question from a year 12 topic. So we'll start off with social influence and then we'll do a block of memory. And it's about 1 minute. Can they actually write a plan for that? It means they're testing their knowledge, but it encourages them to plan. And it's so frustrating seeing that empty box on an exam paper because they haven't planned it. The better answers are always get planned.
Can I give two?
Oh yeah.
One is that I always will say something and say, talk to the person next to you, because if you ask a question, there's deathly silence, everybody's awkward. If I say, tell the person next to you, or what are your thoughts, tell your thoughts to the person next to you, everybody's talking, so they're much more likely to generate conversation. The second thing is to always, when you ask a question, then don't be scared of silence. Stand there for 7 seconds, apparently, or just leave silence. And if they haven't answered, then you rephrase the question because they probably haven't even heard it. And I have got one more thing.
Oh yeah.
Is timed essays, which sound really boring, but when you set a timed essay, then they have to prepare for it really well. You do it in time conditions, and it makes them like tip top ready for the exam.
Best piece of advice I've ever had, and this was taught to me a teacher about 10 years ago, is when students talk over you, go quiet. And my record is about 3.5 minutes of just standing there with my mouth closed. Eventually they get the message, they go quiet as well, and eventually you can move on with the rest of your lesson.
I think the one, it's not a technique, it's a whole philosophy that I've only just heard about since joining the university system, but I think it's so important throughout education, even if we don't normally give it a name, called playful learning. And it starts from the idea that there should not be any drudgery. Nothing in education needs to be dull, oppressive. It should be fun, and it should be fun for everyone in the system, including you, because you actually matter. It's not just an ethic of sacrifice. You shouldn't be overworking, sacrificing free time, relationships, whatever, for the sake of other people. It should be a positive, fun experience for everyone. And there's no good reason why it can't be.
Good starters. Starters are the key thing to get their brains working. I know you're a fan of mini whiteboards. I'm a fan of mini whiteboards, but you don't just have to use those. You just have to get it right for the group. Usually short answer in there, get their brains switched on.
Getting to know your students individually, knowing them as people and relating to them as people. They're not just your students, they are part of your life.
Small habit owns huge habit is just get to know your students. I think talk to them in the corridors, find out what their loves are, the challenges are, and talk to them at break time, and just get to know who's in front of you in the classroom.
Why did you decide to come to the ATP conference this year, and what do you think teachers get out of it?
I think it's the best CPD there is because there's so much choice and there's something for everyone at every level. So when I first came years ago when I was new to teaching, there was also loads of things to help with that. Now I've also been teaching a while, then there's other ideas. So just the fact there's so many different workshops and then you get to meet real psychologists and get to be a bit of a fangirl with them. So I enjoy that.
I love the ACP conference. It's amazing. It is CPD wise, you couldn't get anything better. And the value that it's not just the workshops and the keynotes, which are all fantastic, but you talk to people, you get to know people, you end up like sharing resources or swapping things. But then there's also the social side as well. It's actually just a really nice group of people. You end up having some very late nights, but that's all part of the fun. So yeah, there's nothing else that I know like it.
I feel compelled to come to the ATP conferences. Yeah,
By me.
I can't break my streak. Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I have a
You WhatsApping you. Yeah.
I have a family here. Like I've been coming for so long, and anyone who comes, I would be astounded if anyone who's come to the ATP have found that it's not welcoming, that they haven't made friends. So I just can't wait every year to come along.
I think this is by far the best CPD that I do all year. I've been here a few years in a row now, and it's just so helpful. It's the networking, it's bumping into people and having a chat about what their experiences are like. Sometimes validating experiences, going, you know, I found this bit to be a bit shaky and that bit to be a bit shaky, or that bit to be great, and everyone kind of agreeing. And obviously the CPD, the things you learn are things that are invaluable.
So I decided to come as CPD. I thought it would be a good way to hear from more experienced teachers, but also to network. And I think that is the biggest thing you get out of it, meeting like-minded people.
Where to start? I just enjoy the ATP conference so much. I was a teacher in a big sixth form college, head of department there, and I had lots of psychology people to talk to. And then I moved to a school where I'm the sole teacher, and ATP just saves me so many times, helps me to keep up to date, keep relevant. The people that you meet there, just incredible. I consider them my close friends, even though sometimes I only see them once a year, sometimes see them more. But the workshops are just invaluable. The wealth of experience that is being shared at ATP. I know I'm a bit evangelistic about it, but I just would want everybody to come and experience it once and see what they think about it, because I've only ever heard people wishing to come back when they
I came because I've come for the last 5 years, actually. This is my 5th one. And it's just the most motivating and re-energizing and reinvigorating experience right at the end of the year. But I've come away with so many good ideas and friends. But the idea is I'm now going to go back, and I cannot wait to finish school on Thursday to actually start having then the time and the space to putting a lot of these ideas into action.
I came because the publishers OUP very kindly said that they'd sponsor me to come. But I was so delighted because I went last year for the first time, absolutely loved it. Someone I think from the committee said it was like the highlight of her year, and I can understand that because you're surrounded by all of the lovely geeky people that you are yourself. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone has that kind of baseline knowledge. It's really, really fun. It's really encouraging. It's really you learn things, you learn little tiny things that can make a huge difference. But it's about the people for me and about the connection, the human element, as we were talking about earlier about AI. AI is amazing, but I just don't think you can beat human connection and interaction, and that's what you get in abundance here. So,
well, it's a massive habit now because I've been coming probably for the last 10 years, give or take a few years for COVID. I think it's a brilliant networking event. It's very intellectually stimulating because you see cutting edge research, and not being having done my degree many years ago. It's really nice to keep in touch with how psychology is going and where it's going in the future.
The official reason I'm here is to represent the ICM and sign people up for level 2 psychology. But really, it's a big it has a much more emotional significance than that for me. I've missed one ATP in 32 years. That's because my daughter was inconsiderate enough to be born that week. Even then, I asked if I could go, and family said, no, don't be silly. So no, I just love it. The people, the atmosphere, the sense of positive, happy purpose. We kind of capture in a microcosm what actually the whole system should be like.
I've been coming to the ATP conference for many years, as you know, Nick. My brain just switches into super mode. I learn so much, both academically and in terms of teaching. To meet other psychology teachers is just fantastic. To share ideas is just life affirming.
It is a little bit of habit. I've been coming here for 20 years, all my teaching life. I've come to represent Dark P this year and to promote the Helen Kitchen teaching award through the BPS, but I think for teachers, it is an essential part of your CPD on a yearly basis to be able to network with other people, like-minded people who are engaged and want to get the most out of their teaching.
It's been a long time since I've come, and I'm just really hungry for academic learning and knowledge. And I think you come here, there's such a range of talks, whether that's for academic interest or whether to improve your own teaching practice. So, two big reasons there.
If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about education, what would it be?
Oh, what a question. Let's begin with. No, I'd probably have more SEND focus, more support in school. I think that's the big issue. And yeah, I think that's a big one.
The end focus is money. I think a lot of, and it's the way it has to be because there isn't enough funding, there aren't enough resources. But the fact that everything has to be, can we do this because of money? Can we print stuff because we haven't got any money, or can we put this new initiative in place? I think the children are being lost, and it should always be actually what is the best for them. What they should be at the center of everything in teaching, and I feel like it's maybe it always has been, but it feels like money is at the center.
So finances, lots more finances, and I would set up two types of schools. I would set up means tested grammar schools. So grammar schools, but you had to have below a certain income or come from a certain area. And I would also set up more state-run kind of free boarding schools for kids who essentially aren't able to access education because of their home life being so traumatic, actually creating that environment. But I suppose money.
Time, I think. Again, I'm sure this is probably the answer a lot of people are giving, but for me, I think we just need less emphasis on making sure that every single minute is accounted for in teaching. And I think teachers need to be given more autonomy and more trust to be able to make use of their time in the best way for their students. I think at the moment there's a big reliance on making sure that teachers are making use of every single second, and that's really unhealthy, I think. So yeah, giving teachers more trust, I think, is the answer to that.
More investment in teachers and valuing teachers more.
Class sizes. Class sizes, class sizes, class sizes. I think almost all of the issues can be solved if you've got a reasonable class size. I like to teach class size of about 13 to 17. I know a lot of centres have got way more than that. And especially you say education, so that's right through what I see at my school. The class sizes for lower down the years, it's ridiculous. I really believe that there should be smaller class sizes right straight.
Apart from getting rid of Ofsted, I think what I would like to do is have students apply to universities after they've got their exam results rather than before, because it just avoids all that pressure of, I need an A grade. Well, I need £1 million, but there's no evidence. And so it will take a lot of the hassle off of the teachers to overinflate grades. They apply afterwards.
That with exams that they're not timed, because I'm dyslexic and I think some other people were mentioning that as well. I'm a very slow reader and processor. And I just think that having a timed exam is so cruel. And I understand the logistics and it's not possible. But if I could wave a magic wand and all of us had enough time to answer the questions in the way we wanted, I think people wouldn't have exam anxiety as much. And I think that people could actually do their best. And I think the thing we know about the brain is how amazing it is, and it will pop things up for you later. Why get out of an exam and go, oh, I should have written that, when you can just sit there and reflect and everything like that? That would be my thing. But obviously, logistically, that ain't going to happen. So
If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about education, what would it be?
Yeah. I think over my time, the emphasis now has become more and more about passing exams, which is obviously important. But the focus in everything we do now is how can we get them to improve their grades? How can we get more people to pass exams? That is important, as I've said, but I think sometimes that's a detriment to doing wider projects. Again, you think more broadly about the subject and it fits in with other topics as well. So I'd like to go back to sort of more of a balance where obviously we try and help people pass exams, but also we try and broaden their, get them really more interested in psychology generally.
It's a really easy hit, a really easy target, but I'm going to say Ofsted because from them starts the top-down culture of, sometimes it is overt bullying, often it's not, but it's still an assumption that there should be no fun, that you should be sacrificing something, that there should be some drudgery. And that comes from Ofsted. They want to see suffering. They're not okay. And I think they are a blight on the system, and nothing will get better. It's not about teacher pay. It's partly about holidays, but it's mostly about the culture in schools and colleges, and nothing will change there as long as Ofsted are there.
To provide more funding. Teachers are doing a marvellous job with less and less money, and that's not fair.
If I could wave a magic wand for teachers, it would be to get rid of all the bureaucracy that surrounds teaching that doesn't involve teaching. For students, I think it would be to change the entire exam process. I think it's too old-fashioned. It doesn't fit modern life, and it should be done differently.
I'll change the exam structure. I'd love to just teach for learning and assess in different ways so that people get a real hunger for psychology and enjoy it without it being drummed through exams. So maybe longer courses. But yeah, maybe magic wand that way.
I want to thank all the students and teachers who support the PsychBoost project. My ability to make this free series of CPD videos and all of the other things I do are due to their ongoing support. If you want to join them and access my additional resources, check out my Patreon.